So, this video is for Dylan, who's going through a really hard time at the moment. I can sympathise. Just reading your comment brought back so many memories for me of being in that same place. And I've been there where you're just in a complete rut every way. Mentally, your life is just a shambles. And it can be very hard not to punish yourself when you're going through that cycle. I know that I judged myself so harshly for my addictions and where I was in my life. I'd never been employed. I'd never had a girlfriend. Never didn't have mates. My life was in ruins. So that alone weighs heavy on you as a person. But the first thing I want to say, Dylan, is that the addiction is just a symptom. It's not who you are. It's not, something that you can't live without. It is masking the amount of pain you're suffering. What I found was that my addictions escalated so quickly when my life was falling apart. And actually, how I look at it now, when somebody has an addiction, it's a habit that a person goes to cope with their situation. It's actually helping them in a weird way. It doesn't feel like it at the time, but it's relieving you in some way. Whether that's an escape from your life, escape from emotions that you may not even be aware of. It can be anything that you're trying to get away from. And in that moment where you're addicted to a video game or pornography or whatever it is, you are having some relief. The valve is being released a little bit. So don't punish yourself for your addictions. Don't punish yourself for where you are in your life. You are here now. Nothing's going to change that. No magic wand's going to wand it all away. We have to start small. Now, what you need to do is you need to build some kind of list that you know is good for you. Whether that's a tech curfew, not having any technology near your bedtime, making sure you're eating well as best you can, all these little things. And just start incorporating all these small beneficial habits and trying to stick to them the best you can without punishing yourself if you don't stay strict to it. Now for me, I know when you're in that hole, it can feel very difficult to see any light at the end of the tunnel, and how are these little behaviours going to change my life in a big way that needs to happen? How is it going to reverse it? But what you need to understand is that you didn't get here overnight. It didn't just happen overnight. This has been going for a long time. Now, for myself, I was a very unhappy kid. I didn't acknowledge it. I just shoved it all in here, and I didn't talk to anyone, and I just turned to video games. I turned to pornography, all my addictions, just to escape my life every moment I could. And then fast forward a decade, I was in a hole, I was in hell, I was in a black hole with no light at the end of the tunnel. So we have to start reversing that with little changes. So that's what I'd recommend, is just trying to do the best with what you're working with, and actually have some sympathy for yourself. I know sympathy doesn't change it at all, but understanding that whatever you've been through, it's no coincidence you're in this hole of addiction and struggling to the extent you are for no reason. It will more than likely go back to your childhood, and you have to find, that little boy when he was 5 or 6 or 7, and going through the experiences and acknowledging the fact that what is it that you're trying to escape so much? These habits haven't started overnight, but what is it in your life that you're really upset about? And start being honest with yourself, start journaling, and start being true to yourself, and get to the bottom of why you're here. And I'll just give you an example of me. I was deeply sad. I had no guidance growing up, and I had no one to turn to, no one that would listen. I felt like anyway. And things just started building up inside of me. You know, my health wasn't very good and I wasn't eating very well. I had no guidance on diet and food, so I was just eating shit. And slowly but surely, all these things start stacking up, and then all of a sudden you look and go, wow, how did I get here? It was all those little things that were building up inside that weren't dispersed and talked about and changed at the time. So I can guarantee that your sleep's probably awful. You're not having a good night's sleep. I can guarantee your food choices aren't the best. I can guarantee your mental thought processes that you're going through every day are probably similar every day. You're probably bashing yourself while you're already on the ground, like I used to do. I used to absolutely torture myself. I mean, I just used to be rotten to myself. And a lot of us know this. What can happen inside our mind isn't nice. So we need to start stopping that. You need to start acknowledging, hey, you know, would I kick somebody in this same situation when they're already down? Probably not. So start trying to shift your perspective on your situation. You know, look at it from the point of view that if you manage to turn this around, how much self-confidence you'll gain from this, how much stability you'll gain inside yourself, like I have. There's a lot of benefit to be gained from turning a situation around like this. You have to start framing things as positively as you can. If you start spiraling into predicting the future, 10 years from now, I'll be even worse, I'll be in this same mess, or, you know, it doesn't help you. You have to understand that when you are allowing thoughts to run riot, you have to ask yourself, how is it helping you? And a lot of the time it's not. So you have to break those cycles, feed yourself well, get good sleep, and the addictions will wear off on their own. You know, when I tried to stop my addiction in 2010, I couldn't last a day. I put blockers on my computer, typed in a 15-digit randomized password, burnt it, and my mind remembered it like a photographic memory. I remember what I put so that I could get on my computer and resume my addictions because I was suffering so much internally. I could not go a day. So, try your best with the addictions. But as your life begins to improve, the addictions start to be less relevant. And it just keeps going. You know, when I got out of my situation and I had my health back, I started getting lean, I started getting strong, I felt more confident, I didn't feel as ugly, I started going out into the world, I started socializing, I started to, I met my girlfriend, I got a job, I started to stack on top of each other. You know, it wasn't a quick fix, it took years, but one thing after another, all of a sudden the addiction was less relevant because I didn't need to escape my life to the extent I did when I was in the hole. So don't punish yourself for your addictions. Don't punish yourself for playing video games and stuff like that. If you cannot restrict them, which, you know, if you're in that dark hole, you can't, you have to understand that that will come with time. But if you keep a tech curfew, you say, I'm not going on it first thing in the morning. I'm going to do something, you know, listen to an audiobook, have a detox bath, or do something nice for yourself. Meditate. Journal. Listen to your inner voice, you know, which will be incredibly quiet to begin with. But try to understand yourself. And then when it's like 5 o'clock, you say, no technology after 5 o'clock. Within those curfew, you know, I'm just going to allow myself to go on technology. But if you stick to that as best you can, you might improve 1% a week. But in 100 weeks, it'll be 100%. You know, you have to look small and be consistent with all those little habits. And a year from now, you'll be a changed person. And I hope this helps, Dylan. And I really have sympathy for you. You know, it's a horrible place to be. And the sad thing is that more than likely, you know, you've been in that situation not of your own doing. You know, you've been born into a situation that you didn't choose, and you've had, say, a parent or a family member or whatever's happened to you that's led you down this path, and you've had no guidance, like a lot of men don't have proper guidance, and we end up in such very self-destructive habits. So you've had no guide. You've got to have sympathies for yourself. You've had no guidance. You've gone through experiences. You've not felt like you could speak to someone about it. You've turned to addictions, which is logical. You've turned to something that soothes your pain, and then you find yourself in a hole. You're unemployed. You know, you're completely addicted to technology. Your health's in bits. You know, realistically, you can't blame yourself for that. You've grown up as a kid, you don't know anything, and you've led to this point. But what you can do as an adult now is make the best of the situation you're in right now and do everything you can to get out of it. And I tell you now, if you stick to that, a year from now, your life will be different. I hope this helps. Right, thanks for watching, guys.